Ladies and gentlemen, we have just made a shocking discovery, and I can't believe we didn't find this in the last video, but let me catch you up really quickly. Right here is our 991.2 GT3. This is a Frankenstein build that we've rebuilt. It has an engine from a GT3 RS inside of it, but this car is just a GT3. In the last episode, we spent time fixing the harness and trying to start the car, but ultimately, the car never started. But I think I know why. If you come to the back of the car, you'll see the new engine that we have inside this car, but you'll also see the ECU. Dylan this morning made a shocking discovery. Let me zoom in so you can see it. Do you see this big gaping hole right here? That's the ECU. Here's a part of the harness that isn't plugged in. Now you're probably asking yourself, you guys spent 12 hours diagnosing the harness, plugging everything back together, and you never noticed that that was plugged in? I would be telling you, yes, you are correct. But what I can say is, we're only human. I think that we've got so caught up in everything, we just assumed that one of us plugged that in. That whole entire video of trying to get that car to start was a waste. Because of course the car wouldn't start. Because one of the main harness plugs, the ECU, is not plugged in. So let's run it back. For real this time. That was good. In the event that it starts, I'll go 5 seconds.
We turn it right back off.
Right back off?
It's not gonna start. There's no way it's gonna start.
What if it does?
Okay, we turn it right back on.
You don't think it's gonna start?
No, it doesn't know if it's in park. No, I don't even think it'll crank. I changed my mind. Go, go.
It cranks? Jake, you did so much work this morning. Good job. It started. Frankenstein RS started. Word to the wise, make sure all your plugs are plugged in before you try to start a car. Stupid idiots. What makes today's video better than the last video is I brought in backup. I brought in help. I brought in someone who will hopefully allow us not to make the simple mistakes that we made in the last video. This is Jake.
What's up, guys? I'm Jake Bossard, owner of Eurobond here in San Diego. I do Porsche, BMW, Mercedes, everything European, and I'm gonna help these guys get this thing dialed in.
So we have a big list of things to do here. We need to fix the wiring because we still have missing wires. We don't know where they go. And we also need to have a specific computer to code everything on this car. When I mean code, I mean we have to code the ECU because the ECU thinks it's a GT3 RS with a PDK transmission, and we're obviously not that, so that's gotta be fixed. We need to do a special computer system to bleed the coolant, do the oil, do all of the brakes and clutch, which also Jake is gonna help us do. But the first thing we need to do is figure out the wiring. So stay tuned for the end of this video because if all goes well, this car should be on the ground for the first time with wheels on and potentially driving. It's finally ready for us to put coolant in this car, and we're doing something pretty cool that I wanted to share with you because I've never done this before. And if I've never done it before, there might be a small chance that some of you guys have never done it before. So let me show you. So we're currently creating vacuum right now, which is something that we've done before. And what we're doing is we're running a pressurized air line over the nozzle, which is sucking out all of the air out of the whole entire system. And if you go around the car and you look at all the coolant lines, they're all collapsing because it's sucking all of the air out of it. So this is one way that we can make sure that there's no air pockets throughout the whole entire system, and you can also at the same time check to see if you have any potential leaks, because if you had any leaks throughout the car, that vacuum, when we shut it off, would actually show the decrease in pressure throughout the whole entire process. But that's not the interesting part.
So now that we've reached max vacuum, we're gonna leave it for about 10 minutes and make sure that this needle does not move up at all, because with this valve closed, the entire system's sealed. So if there's no leaks, it should hold at that number the entire time.
So now while we're waiting to see if we lose any air, I'm gonna go ahead and, this is where it gets interesting by the way, I'm gonna start putting all this coolant in this bucket. Oh my God. I'll watch this. And now that it's filled up, we're going to transfer this back over. Forbidden punch.
All right, so now that we've verified that the system has no leaks by maintaining pressure, the entire system's under vacuum. So when we put this in here, into our pre-mixed coolant, we open this valve, it's gonna pull the coolant up through this hose and fill the cooling system, and it will be bled when we're done.
That's the, why have we never done that before? It's kind of genius.
It is. You ready?
Yeah. Is it gonna be, oh, it's a fast suck. Yeah. Reminds me of, no. Getting into credit card debt is one of the easiest things to do in life, but getting out, not so easy. You see, the system is set up so it makes it difficult for you to get out of that debt, but that's where PDS Debt comes into play, and today's video happens to be sponsored by PDS Debt. If you find yourself struggling with credit card debt, medical bills, or even personal loans, PDS Debt has a solution for you. PDS provides a service to match you with your debt solutions tailored to your financial living. If you're making payments every single month and you're not seeing those balances go down, then that's the solutions that PDS will bring to the table for you. Everyone with $10,000 or more in eligible debt qualifies, and there's no minimum credit score required. Bad and fair credit are both accepted. And with all this stuff, you can save more in a fraction of the time while paying off your debt. So stop waiting and start saving by going to pdsdebt.com/hunt, where you can get a free debt analysis test. This only takes 30 seconds. So head over to pdsdebt.com/hunt, or just click the links down below in the description of this video. Thank you so much, PDS, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to it. That's a cool milestone at the point where you need to add a coolant to the car, because you're that close to the finish line. Feels good.
Yeah, fluids are always like the best feeling. When you're like, I think everything's sealed up. I think we're gonna put fluid in.
And of course, we are using Valvoline's Xerox coolant. So as always, want to say shout out to Valvoline. We love you, and thank you for providing the proper materials or the proper products we need for our Porsche. They have a product for everything. Old JDM cars, new cars, Porsches, exotics, you name it. And to extend that note too, we usually, when we add coolant to the car for the first time to run it, we're always like, all right, let's look around the car, look underneath it, try to see if anything's leaking, try to catch a leak before it happens. But because we just test it under vacuum and we know there's no leaks, we know that it's not gonna drop, which is crazy to me.
We're bleeding the hydraulic system, so the clutch and the brakes. And we're using this pressure bleeder, which is regulated at about 15 PSI. And we have a constant introduction of fluid and pressure from the compressor and the reservoir that's being fed into the chassis reservoir that's going to the clutch and every brake caliper. And so what I'm gonna do is go around and bleed each caliper. And what Jake is gonna do is going to tell the ABS system, I'm assuming, electronically to open and close its valves to allow the fluid to go through the system as it should. If we didn't have Jake to do that, then I would just arbitrarily be bleeding all these calipers. I'd be chasing air pockets that would exist inside the ABS system. And that's the team effort that we're gonna have right now.
Which means you can't do this by just pumping the brakes and cracking each caliper line. The mechanism in which we're trying to bleed is controlled by certain valves that go to every caliper. So to bleed the brakes, you need to have the computer system in order to command it to open and close while pressurizing the system. Porsche's new brake systems are very strange to me.
We're gonna start with rear left, then front right, then rear right, which is kind of a weird order, but that's how Porsche does it, so it's nice to have the right stuff.
Basically, there's a mechanical and electrical disconnect between Jake's foot, the pump, and this caliper. So he's been mechanically pumping, but that doesn't mean that it's passing fluid through the channels until the ABS pump allows it to happen. So right now, on the other two, it didn't do this. It had enough fluid in the lines, but this one is calling for 90 seconds of this, which might overflow our reservoir, which it is what it is. But so I'm just holding it open and letting the pump do its job.
Now, while the boys are doing the wiring and doing all the bleeding, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next part. And this part I have been waiting for so long. I've had these parts sitting on the ground since the day I got this car, and it's the exhaust. Now, the reason why we need to put the exhaust on the car is because to actually check our oil level with this car, it needs to be running. This is because the car uses a dry sump and it's not your just traditional oil pan where you could just throw a dipstick in and check. The car has to run for a decent amount of time for it to get an accurate measurement. So to do that, we need the exhaust to be on so it doesn't throw codes and allows us to check everything. So this is an exhaust, as many of you guys can probably guess, from Dundon Motorsports. I run a Dundon exhaust on my RS over there, and on my first RS, I also ran a Dundon exhaust. One of the reasons why I love Dundon so much is not only because of their heritage in the Porsche community and what they've done for the Porsche community on just making beautiful parts, but not only does Dundon sound the best, that's not the main reason why I love them. A lot of exhaust companies can make something that sounds really good for this car. Dundon actually proves that their products increase the horsepower, increase mid-range, and just increase performance overall. But we're not every exhaust company can prove that. Oof, I thought this was the header box. I was wrong, but let's continue. This right here is their titanium muffler. Now I decided to not go absolutely batshit crazy with volume. They do make a very, very loud option known as their crack pipe. I've had it before, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a crack pipe. It's way too loud. So what I've done here is I did their titanium, zoom on that, loud. Gentleman's tone, as I like to say. This is a beautiful setup, and I cannot wait to see this behind the car. And for the exhaust tip option,
Great choice.
just standard black.
Standard.
Just a good, clean look. Actually, this is a different setup than I have on my RS. The RS, different setup. I actually run a different muffler setup on the RS. So I'm really excited. You could literally fit this one on top of that exhaust. I'm very excited to see the differences that we get from this exhaust setup because it's gonna be different than my RS. I can't wait for that. I also want to give a little shout out to Jamie from Dundon Motorsport because Jamie has actually done a lot of help with us behind the scenes because everyone at Dundon are just Porsche nerds and they deal with these cars all the time to a level that exceeds a lot of people out there. And when I originally crossed him with the idea of putting a GT3 RS engine into a GT3 and then trying to tune the ECUs to match up with each other and all those questions, I went to him and he was able to verify if it was possible. And he was like, you know what? Should be possible. I've never done it, but it should be possible. So a lot of that initial idea when I had it, I crossed by Jamie and Jamie was like, yep, it will work. So if you're enjoying this series, shout out to Jamie because this wouldn't have probably happened if I didn't have him backing me with a stupid idea.
Oh, that looks so good.
Oh yeah. And if we're being honest here, I almost didn't go for this exhaust setup. This exhaust setup is not cheap at all. It's like 15, it can vary, but I think this whole exhaust setup you're looking at here is about $15,000. There are a lot of other options out there that you can get that are a lot cheaper than this. At the end of the day, I really want the performance as well. I don't just want volume. I don't just want sound. So I decided we're not cheaping out now. We've put so much on this car. We've done it right. And I feel if I didn't do this exhaust, I wouldn't be seeing this car through. I wouldn't be doing it right. Still retains the
Factory valves
with vacuum.
How would this have gotten to me? I think it was your spit.
You might be asking yourself, wow, is this the first time they've ever installed headers on a 911 GT car? No, this is the third time we've done it now.
Spread them.
Aha!
All right, I'll hold it. You can put on some nuts.
I'll just hang it.
Nut her up. I mean, impregnate her. I mean, get pregnant. I mean, put nut on her. No!
It's break time.
It's a break time.
It's exhaust time.
Hold on, Calvin, I need really good energy. Okay, I'm gonna
yeah,
pan up.
yeah.
Okay, and I want you to say, it's exhaust time. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready?
It's exhaust time.
All right, here, I'm gonna try with you. Okay, ready? I need energy. Okay, it's exhaust time. Got it? 3, 2, 1.
It's exhaust time.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
It's exhaust time.
Oh! Oh! I stink!
You actually sound pretty good.
What's your deodorant of choice?
Whichever.
I don't wear deodorant.
No, I have to.
Tell them why you don't wear underwear.
It's a waste of time.
I don't wear deodorant, it's a waste of time.
Putting on my underwear, okay.
This is the most flawed reasoning ever.
Okay,
but
listen.
Sure.
I don't need life insurance for my farts because I don't trust them ever. These guys trust their farts and on occasion make a little bit of you know what I'm saying?
So if you're like 8th chubbed, you're just fine with everybody seeing it?
TJ always looks at my
Why he's called the macaroni?
rigatoni.
No, he's like the elbow.
I'm an elbow. I'm a shell. Not like the big shell, the small shell. I'm a fusilli.
Fusilli? No,
that
you
the-
strike me as a farfalle type of guy.
Oh, farfalle.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a spaghettini, dude.
You're more like angel hair.
Angel.
More like a rice grain, you know, like the Japanese. More like a Japanese short grain, you know, sticky.
But like brown rice, not
No,
white
not
rice,
it-
brown
no,
rice.
Like no, fully husked up. You
Like
know
short
what I'm saying?
grain white rice.
Yeah, short Japanese short grain, super sticky,
Yeah.
super delicious, super small. Put rice vinegar on my grains, Teach.
Big moment, ladies and gentlemen. Tip time. It's tip time.
Excuse you.
Look at these, Cal. Do you see these tips?
I'm not looking
These
at
tips
these
will blow you out the
tips.
water.
I-
These are some great tips. Bigger than my last tips.
Stay away
The
from-
biggest tips we've ever handled. This is the biggest tip I've ever handled.
No, that's...
Feels good. Dylan's face just cries excitement. Whoa.
Oh my...
It's fine.
Oh, nice tip.
Obviously, we'll redo all the centering once the bumper's on the car. But today we're highlighting the exhaust, leaving it off for now. It's time for us to do something for the first time on this car. Feels great, lots of first times. We love first times. We're gonna put wheels on the car. These are the stock GT3 wheels that came on the car. And until we show you guys our new wheels, they're still getting built, we're gonna use this to send this car to paint and do all of our testing on. So let's go ahead and install the GT3 wheels. Center locks, one of my favorite things about these Porsches, GT cars, and you can even option them on not GT cars.
Wheels on this car? What?
Looking kind of crazy. We've also been stealing a bunch of parts off of the RS and putting it in the GT3. One other thing I haven't shown you is we took the RS armrest and we're gonna be putting it into the GT3, which might not sound that cool, but we're gonna do something special with the seats on that. So more on that later, but the moral of the story is any type of modular piece that came on the RS, we've been transferring it over to the GT3, one of which is this little gas cap. I have the same gas cap in my RS. I'm sure you can get this on the GT3, but it might be like a factory upgrade. I don't know, I'm just assuming. Some might come with this, not sure. But what I'm saying is taking this, because we had it sitting on the shelf from the RS, and I'm gonna swap it over because the GT3 currently just has this plastic boy, and I'm gonna upgrade it because it's way cooler. Yeah, it's the little things, everyone. It's the little things that count. We're now ready to put the car on its wheels for the first time since the whole entire rebuild. I don't know how low the coilovers are gonna be. Calvin says he forgot how low he made them.
I also didn't tighten all the bolts that kept it together, so we had to take it off.
So I don't know how low it's gonna sit. We're probably gonna need wheel ramps here to get it off of its arms. Ride height's actually not that bad considering we still need to do transport and stuff. This needs a way more aggressive wheel.
Woo! Dude, Porsches look so gnarly without the rear bumper.
Oh man.
Wait, don't people do... That's what I found.
Twin turbo GT3?
No.
Yeah! Woo! Hell yeah, let's do it.
No.
Oh my God.
No. Sing with me. No.
Ready, say it, 3, 2, 1.
No.
There's too much pepper in my chicken.
All right, so we're now gonna go ahead and start it for real this time. In the beginning of the video, we turned it on for a second and had to turn it off. Now we actually have to run it because we need to check our oil level. We know that we have a proper amount of oil in the car, but for the dry sump to actually get data to see how low it actually is, the car has to run for 15 minutes. So this is the perfect opportunity to start the car up, see how the exhaust sounds, but then also see if anything leaks, if Calvin forgot any bolts.
I hope it falls apart while you're driving.
So here we go, first start. It seems now we have another problem. We're able to get the Porsche to turn over, but the car won't stay turned on. This was an issue that we weren't able to foresee in the beginning of the video because we wanted to turn it off so quickly. But now, after trying to get it to actually run, the car stops us. We don't really know why, but we do have a few guesses.
It still sounds super sick.
All right, well, unfortunately, this is not the result we were hoping for today. Car turns over, it fires, but after about a second and a half of the car actually being on, it kills the throttle and kills the car. We have a few different speculations as to what that could be, but I really think that because we have a different ECU in the car, we have different modules in the car that is supposed to go to that ECU, we think it just has to be coded out, and that's one big process that we have to do before we even drive this car, is we have to get every single ECU and module recoded to think it's the same car. It's like we have just enough where it will fire, but I think it realizes it. Maybe Dylan had an idea that maybe the fuel pump delivery amount might be different or something. I don't quite know. But the thing is now we need a specific very, very expensive Porsche computer called a P-Wiz.
P-Wiz, yeah.
A P-Wiz. I think I know a guy that might have one that can help us out tomorrow. But until then, stay tuned, because in the next episode, we're going to be attempting to go for the Porsche's first main voyage, hitting the streets. But before we do that, there's a lot of work to do. So I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out, and keep moving forward.